but I've had this on my TBR for so long and I really enjoyed the last 3. So we're going to do it. Hopefully. The moral of the story is don't put space between the books, or at least as much space, because these books are pretty complicated in a good way. And I feel like I've forgotten a lot of things. Hello, it's been... What is on my book? Is there coffee? And there's still one more book. So, like, are we going to end on another huge cliffhanger and I'm going to have to pick up the next one? Who knows? I might have to. Hello, everybody. My name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with reading some 5-star predictions. So it's technically the last day of June, but I'm sitting down and I'm going to start this vlog because I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to these, or like when I'm going to start them, but I want to have started this vlog so that when I get around to these, I can start. So basically the point of this vlog is I have a 5-star prediction list that I made a while ago, and it's been a while. But I usually have 5 books on that list, and I've read 3 of them. So there's 2 left, and I'm going to use this vlog. I'm going to use the month of July, because I got them both on my July TBR. And I'm going to use this month to hopefully actually read these books so that this list can be done, and I can either start a new one or take a break from 5-star predictions. We'll see. So the 2 that are left on this TBR are Beautiful Nightmares by KJ Sutton and The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson. These are both these are both not the first in a series. This one is the 4th in the Fortuna Sworn series, and this is the 2nd in the HMRC trilogy. This is like witchy. This is romantasy, fantasy. So they're definitely different vibes a little bit. I feel like this is the one I'm going to start with just because it's such a chunk, and I've got the audiobook ready and the ebooks on my Kindle, and like we're ready to go. But this one, I'll tell you a little bit about this one. This one follows our main character, Fortuna Sworn, or at least the first book in the series follows her, and she's a nightmare, which means that she has the ability to know what your biggest fear is and kind of use it against you. And 2 years before the book starts, her brother goes missing, and everyone is kind of like just assumed and come to terms with the fact that he is gone. Like, he's dead, he's not coming back. And she just will not do that. And so she runs into this Fae man, and he basically says, like, hey, I actually can help you. I may know some things, but in order to help you, you have to marry me. And she goes, okay, fine. And so it's their story, and I mean, that just scratches the surface, honestly, but that's what the first book is kind of about. And I think if you are a big fan of the first book in the ACOTAR series, you will definitely like the first book in this series. There's a lot of plot things that are pretty similar. And then it just kind of continues from there. I really like the writing. There's a lot with trauma in the 3rd book, so I'm interested to see where we go here. I'm very nervous about this because I've seen some people talk about this book, and based on some things they have said, I have inferred, which may be wrong, that the romance is going to go in a direction that I'm not super excited about. But I remember the last one ending kind of on a cliffhanger of sorts, so I'm interested to see where this one goes. It is the biggest in the series. Like, the 5th one is smaller than this, but I've had this on my TBR for so long, and I really enjoyed the last 3. So we're going to do it, hopefully. And then The Shadow Cabinet. The first book follows these 4 friends who grew up together, and then it's them as adults, and they've kind of separated a little bit. And one of them is kind of in charge of the governing body of the witches. And there is this prophecy that there is going to be this kid who's going to bring about the destruction. And she thinks that she has found this kid. And so she kind of rallies the other people to help her out a little bit, specifically one other woman who is teaching like young witches. And so it's a lot more than that. It's a lot about trans rights. So I really enjoyed that one, and I'm curious to see where we're going to go in the second one. I have read, there's a little novella called like Anne B or Anne Boleyn or something like that, and it basically like follows the story of how the Coven and the HMRC, Her Majesty's Royal Coven, started, and it all surrounds Anne Boleyn. And that was just fine. Like, I felt like it wasn't needed. It wasn't a whole lot of stuff. I expected more from it than I gave, and that kind of put the rest of the series on pause. The third one's supposed to come out this year, so I would like to get around to this one to see if the series continues to be amazing or if things are gonna take a turn. I remember how the first one ended, and it was a huge cliffhanger. I cannot believe I've waited this long, but I loved the first one so much. So I'm really excited to give these a try. I'm officially starting this vlog so that I can hopefully get around to them. I will let you know when I've made some progress in at least one of these books, and I'll come back to you when I've read something. I wanted to give you a little bit of an update because I did start Beautiful Nightmares, and I am about, I would say, a fourth of the way through. Not a whole lot, but this is a thick book, and I want to kind of give you some thoughts before I continue with it or forget those thoughts, because I'm going to put this down just for a second. Like I need to prioritize some buddy reads at the moment, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to come back to this. But I picked this one up. I was on vacation last week visiting my parents, and I had this on Kindle, so I didn't have to bring this chunk with me, which was nice. But I picked this one up after finishing a book, and like, I was so worried going into it because it had been at least a year, maybe more than a year since I read the third book. I don't remember when I read the third book, but it's been a while. And I remember there being a huge twist at the end of the third book, but I didn't remember what that twist was. I just remember the repercussions of the twist and how the book ended. So I tried to go online and find some spoilery synopsis of it, and I couldn't really find it, but I found a couple of book reviews that people have done where they mentioned a couple of things that kind of sparked some memories. So I felt like I had a little bit of information, not everything I needed, but like enough to kind of start this book. And it starts immediately from the events that ended the third book. So I'm going to try to talk about this kind of vaguely because I don't want to spoil this for people who haven't read the first three books. But something happens at the end between what I thought was our main love interest and maybe won't be, but I'm not sure about that yet. And it twisted a couple of things. And also our new character just woke up in a new place. So this book has a very, very rough beginning. I am on chapter 11, page 190, and we have just gotten out of basically a torture situation. So the first quarter of this book is our main character basically being tortured the whole time. And it is rough. It's rough. It's not fun. So I'm hoping it tends to get better. I'm sure, like, there's so much of this book left. We're not out of the woods by a long shot, but I am happy that that situation is gone. And in doing so, it reminded me of a couple of things. So not everything from the last book is told and rehashed to you. Maybe we'll learn some more things throughout this book. And there are some characters that I had to like rack my brain to remind myself who they were. So don't leave 2 years between reading these books, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But also, I was hooked. Like, I remembered these characters, but I had put a lot of space between, so I was really worried. And I was like hooked. I couldn't stop reading. I mean, I had to stop reading because I was visiting people, but like, I just wanted to keep picking up my Kindle and continuing with this book. And I am listening to the audio, but I was reading and listening at the same time, so I recommend that if you're an audiobook listener. Also, these covers, I think, are just stunning. Either way, things happened, and we're far enough into the story where I feel like I don't know where we're going to go, especially since there's 2 more books. Like, where on earth could the story go? But I feel like we're out of the woods on the first part of the story, which makes me feel better. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we've met some new characters that I've really enjoyed. We have some other characters that are big parts of the story that obviously are coming back and things. And we follow Fortuna, who is an incredibly flawed and impulsive person. And she's kind of been forced to rethink some things in the sense of maybe she can't be as impulsive as she used to be. And I see a lot of character development with her from the first book. So it's good to see that. And there's also a lot of like crossover. And like there was a random thing that like mentioned something that she did in the first book offhandedly. And like you don't need to have a lot of memory to remember these things because it tells you what you need. But I liked the callback to some of these things. So I'm not close to the end by a long shot, but I wanted to tell you some thoughts because I've made it a pretty big chunk. But because this book is so long, I feel like I'm going to come to you a few times because there's a lot of stuff that goes in here. There's not a lot of downtime in these books that I've noticed. Yes, there is some, like we're in a little bit of a lull at the moment, but we're about to ramp back up. So I had a feeling that I was going to come to you a few times, but so far we're good. I'm hooked. I'm remembering enough to enjoy the story, but I wish I hadn't have put so much time because there's definitely some things about the last book that I know I'm forgetting. So I might have to go back because I didn't have it on my Kindle, but I have the physical and I know I tabbed that. Maybe I'll go back and like reread a little bit of the very end just to remind myself. But I think I have enough information, or I've gathered enough information from online that I am content on my journey. But yeah, maybe don't put space, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The moral of the story is don't put space between the books, or at least as much space, because these books are pretty complicated in a good way. And I feel like I've forgotten a lot of things. It's been a few days, weeks. I don't even know when I came to you last, but I'm not finished with Beautiful Nightmares yet, but I am like 60% of the way through. I am on page 473. So, we made a good chunk. My audiobooks, I have about 5 hours left. This book was like 24 hours. I am having a very conflicted time with this book because I'm enjoying it and I like these characters and I like the world and I'm connected to them, so like I want to see what happens, but like this is such a struggle to get through. It is so chunky, which yes, I'm not the biggest fan of like huge chunky books, but I have been known to fly through big chunky books before. If I'm really invested, that shouldn't matter. But for some reason, I am just not connecting. And like the way that this plot is like the beginning was like there was a lot of action, there was a lot of stuff going on based on how the third one ended. There was a lot of like tortury things and like it wasn't the most fun to read, but like things were happening. And then we got into the next section of the plot, let's say, and it like kind of, I don't even know, like it dipped in like what was going on, like it, but it did it. Like this plot is still plotting. We've now finally gotten to a point where we're not like go go go, which is kind of what this whole book has felt like, or like what it's supposed to have felt like in the plot, but like my want to read it goes up and down. So like there are some days where I'm like invested in what's going on, and there are some days where I do not care what's going on. For how much I've read, we haven't done much plot. Even though it has felt go, 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 like not a lot has happened. So I wonder if this book would benefit from being shorter, and maybe having some editing done to it. Well, a lot of the stuff is important, I think, to the plot and may play a role in the next two books. I just feel like for how much page and time I've spent in this book, we should be further on in the plot. And we're not. Like I don't know what the point of this book is. Like each book in the past, there has been a point. There has been some plot things, and there has been like an end. I don't know what's going on in this one. I mean, like I do know what's going on, but like as far as the overarching story, this feels very filler. And for it to be the biggest book in the series, it should not be the one that feels like a filler. So, well, I love these characters, and we definitely have some things that are going on. And I think I've always said with this book specifically, I have misinterpreted what I thought some people were saying about the romance, and it did go in a different direction, but it didn't go in the direction that I was worried it was going to go into, at least not yet. And I don't really see that happening based on some stuff like relationships and things that are happening between some of our characters. So that's good. The thing that I was really, really worried about isn't happening. But there's just a lot of like questions and not a lot of answers. And there's a lot of just filler stuff, it feels like. Like, I don't know, I feel like we spent so much time in specific places that may come back and like there's not a lot of the book left there's still like 200 pages of this book left, but compared to the first half of this book, there's not a lot of book left, and I think that a lot of plot things are going to happen, so maybe a lot of my issues that I have so far will get resolved, and you just have to, like, for some reason, this book is just a hard one to get through, but I don't know. I have to kind of, like, force myself to pick it up, and, like, I'm enjoying it when I'm reading it, but it's just up and down for me. Like, some days I'm okay with it, and some days I'm like, I don't really want to touch this book. So I don't really know, because, like, I'm enjoying my experience ish. I am liking the characters, and this doesn't deter me to finish the series. Like, I'm invested still in these characters, and Fortuna, our main character, is having a lot of character growth in this one, which is good to see. She's very impulsive and does things before thinking about them. And so in this book, she's actually thinking about things. Like, she's still her impulsive self, but she can recognize when she needs to not do that, which I think is good for her. So we are getting some growth there. I don't know. I feel like there's so much of this book that doesn't need to be there, and I don't know why it's taken so many pages. Like, I can't even think of what needs to be cut out. Like, it has taken so many pages to do what little we've done. So, this is on track to be a 3-star, I think. Again, we still have the end. We still have, what did I say, around 470 something. And there are 715 pages. So, 250, 300 pages left in this book, give or take. That's a lot of space to do things with, but I don't know. It's not 5-starring like it should be, at least like the other ones were. Like, the third one was a thick book too. It was smaller than this one, but it was a pretty thick book, and that one I didn't feel like we were slogging through. So I don't know why this one does. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts at the moment. I don't think there's any way this is going to be a 5-star. The ending could be so good that it gets bumped to a 4-star, but I don't see a 5-star in my future for this book. And maybe I put too much space between them. Maybe that has suffered. There are definitely some characters that are being thrown into this book, and things that have been mentioned from past books that I'm like, I have completely forgotten what that is. And then something will finally click. Like, there was a character named Nim, who I'm pretty sure we met in the first book, who has probably come in the last, I don't know if he's been in every single book, but he's a very small character, and they finally said something after talking about him for so long that clicked with me, and I went, oh, so that's who that is, right? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe if I had read them back to back, it would be better. I don't really know what I'm trying to say, except for that I'm not loving it, but I'm not hating it, and I'm definitely interested to see where we continue to go. Like, I still want to continue the series. There's 2 books left, and I'm still invested in it, but it's definitely one that, like, this one is suffering, and I'm not sure if it's the writing, if it's me putting too much time between things, the side, like, I don't know what it is, but it's definitely suffering in some elements of the story. So I'll come back to you when I have finished this book, because there's not too much left, and I'll let you know if it has changed or gotten better, and then we can dive into the other book. I am finally feeling that one, though, so that's good. Like, the want to pick up the witchy book is there. I'm not necessarily in a fall mood yet, but I'm definitely in a mood for this book. I don't know what I think, but those are some rambling thoughts, and hopefully the end gets better. So I finished Beautiful Nightmares a little bit earlier today, and what I'm discovering is I should just come to you when I am not enjoying a book, because it instantly gets better. This has happened in multiple vlogs that I've done, where I've been complaining about a book, and then, like, from the minute, like, I pick it back up, it gets better. So this one definitely did. I still think I'm going to, I have to put it through Copilot because I haven't done that yet, but I think I'm going to settle on like a 3.5 probably, because the middle is actually a majority of this book was such a slog to get through until like the last 150 pages or so, and then it got better, and like the plot plotted and things were happening, but even though the plot was plotting, it was still slow, and like this just felt like a big build. And there was a big reveal at the end of the book, which I've discovered is a thing in this series, or like a big twist of sorts, something big that happens to end the book very dramatically, which this does. I will say the big reveal twist moment did wrap up a lot of things. There's definitely some questions that like Fortuna, our main character, has had through this entire series. And so some things from like the first and second book come back full circle in here, and like moments that didn't mean anything to her or were just like throwaway lines came back into play. So we do have 2 more books left. We are halfway through the series. I do have the next one, which is much smaller than this, so it'll be easier to get through. I think I need to pick it up sooner rather than later. So, but I say that with all series. This is just, it's so thick, and it feels, my statements from before still stand. It feels unnecessarily large for the plot. Like, this story has a lot of elements, and it's wrapping up a lot of things that, like I said, we've had in the series, or like bringing it full circle and having a lot of like connecting moments. So we do need a lot of this filler stuff, but I feel like that filler stuff could have happened quicker, and it just felt drawn out, because you've got like the main plot and this is what's happening, and then she has, I don't know if I mentioned it in the last clip, but she has a dreamscape, basically is what she calls it, which is when she falls asleep, she has created this world. She's a best friend that's there, that she's created from her mind, and because her powers and things are changing, and because her powers are changing, the dreamscape and her best friend Oliver is changing. And so they have like a separate plot when she's asleep, trying to figure out things and uncover memories, which are important and come full circle. That's the sentence, I guess, for this update, is coming full circle. But there are things that do, and there are some moments that like are supposed to be reveals for Fortuna, like we're realizing that she's misread a situation, whereas like as the reader, I knew what was happening, and it wasn't like I wasn't reading the situation the same way that Fortuna was. And so like some of those bigger moments, which I think were supposed to be more dramatic, weren't, because I was like, well, yeah, that's very obvious what's happening there. And so it that's why I don't think I can give it a 4, even though I enjoyed the ending, and it did again put momentum back into enjoying this series and wanting to pick it up, because like while I don't think I would consider, when I started the series, I think I would have considered this one of my favorite series. As I've continued, it has not stayed that way, but it is a series that I still really enjoy, and characters I still really enjoy. But like this series itself, I don't think is like top tier for me. And I wanted to give this like a 4, but I think because I had struggled so much through the first 75% of this book, I can't give it that. I think it has to be a 3.5. So unfortunately, this is a 5-star prediction video, and this is not a 5-star, and that's fine. I am really bad at predicting 5 stars. So I'm not really surprised. I'm surprised it was so low. 3.5 is still really good rating, but like as far as this series, I'm pretty sure this is the lowest rated that I have given, or this is the book that I've given the lowest rating. So a little bit of a disappointment, but I still like it. It wrapped itself up in the end in a way that I was content with, and it did have some things that I felt worked, and then I did feel like there were moments that were a little bit rushed as well. So there was just a lot happening with this book, and I don't know what's going on, because like I don't think this is this author's debut series, but even if it is, would be her 4th book in that series, and so she's had some time. I can't put this off as being like a newer author thing. Like she's had some time, and I enjoyed the first 3 in the series more. Unfortunately, not my favorite thing in the world, but it worked out in the end, and I'm content, and I'm happy to continue. And the good thing is that now that we finished that, we can pick up the next one, which is The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson, which is a witchy book that like I gave the first one 5 stars. I fell in love with it. I didn't expect to love it like I did, and I really, really enjoyed it. And because of that, I thought maybe the second one would be a 5-star. which is why it's on this list. I don't suspect this to stay a 5-star. Like I'm going into this assuming it's going to be a 4-star, to be honest, just because, unless something terrible is happening, because I really enjoy the writing. I really enjoy the characters. I remember there being a really big twist at the end of the first book, but just like that drive to want to pick it up has not been there until very recently. Like I'm in the mood to read this book, which is good. I think it's going to work in this book's favor, but I just have this feeling that it's like I've hyped up the first one so much in my head that this one's not going to work as well, which is fine. I think I've actually read a couple of chapters in this book. It's narrated by Nicole. Oh no, what's her last name? I can't remember her name. This is really embarrassing. She plays Penelope in the Bridgerton series. Like it's right there on the edge of it. Anyway, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I just like her accent anyway, so it works really well. And one thing that I did enjoy, having read a couple of chapters, is at the very beginning, before we even get into anything, they have a who's who section, which is like 3 or 4 pages long. And it reminds you all the characters in this book, who's important, who's not, and even the deities in this world. Because some things I feel like were not explained. Like there's this big bad thing called the Leviathan, and I don't know what that is, and it's described here as the demon king of fear. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, that would be terrifying. So I'm excited to see where this goes. And I feel I'm in the right mood for it, I think, which is going to work in my favor, and hopefully that'll carry over to reading the third one really, really soon, because it is out. So I don't know what I'm going to be able to say about this, because the huge twist at the end of the first book really, I think, is going to kickstart this story. So I'm picking this one up, and I'll let you know what I think when I've made some amount of progress in it. I'm excited. I think I've waited for the right time. So I wanted to come to you, since I've been reading The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson. I am not quite halfway. I'm in like 40 something percent, but I am very close to halfway. So I'm coming to you now because I have flown through this book, and I have a feeling that I'm going to fly through the end of this book. So I want to tell you thoughts now before I get sucked in and forget to. Okay, so I am on page 233, chapter 28. I'm loving this book. It was one that the first book, there was basically like 4 or 5 main characters in that book, and they stuck in my head. Like I did not have a problem remembering who these people were, and there was a big event that happened at the end. I always talk about there's like a big twist that I remember, but like a lot of the details I don't remember. And I think I told you when I was telling you that I was going to start this book, is that at the very beginning they have this section of who's who, and it goes through all the different characters that we've met, which was very helpful. Just to kind of remind myself on a couple of things. And then there are some events that are hinted at from the first book in this book, and the author does a really good job of reminding you enough to keep the story going. Like there's definitely some details from the first book that I have forgotten, but I remember or have been reminded enough that it does not impact my enjoyment of the story, which is really good. There's something about the storytelling and the writing that is captivating. Like it's not like I can't like pinpoint a specific thing about the writing. Like it's flowery, or it's very thought provoking. Like it's just fun. Like it's a good fun writing style that makes me want to keep reading no matter what. So like I can't really pinpoint why it's working, but it's working. I am listening to the audiobook. I think I told you that. So it is narrated by Nicola Coughlan. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And she did the novella of this book, or the novella in the series, but I do not believe she did the first one. I don't remember her doing the first one. And I think when I read the first one, I knew who she was, but maybe I didn't. Either way, I'm really enjoying. She has a really good. Her accent is perfect for this because it does take place in England and Ireland, and so of course she is just really good at accents anyway, and so she can pull out the right one at the right time, which like that's what you should do when you're a narrator. But I don't know, I really like her. I think she does a really good job at this, so that's also a plus. The story is progressing. Like, there's not a ton that's happening, but there's like a big secret that what I would consider our main character is keeping throughout this series, and she has to figure out how to do that. And then like a really big plot thing happened with one of our other characters, and it's not told explicitly what happened, but I think I know what happened, and I just things are going to change, and I'm very curious to see where the world is going, because like I'm on the edge of my seat. Is what I'm trying to say. So I'm very interested to see what the second half of this book is going to be like. It doesn't feel like a 5-star. I'm not saying that it can't become one, but like as of right now, it still feels like a very good 4-star, like a 4.5. But I don't know what it is. There's just something that's not letting me give it a full 5. Again, we're at halfway point, so like it's too early, but like that's the vibes that I'm getting. But it's doing what the first book did, which is captivating me. I flew through. I mean, it's been like, what, 2 days since I talked to you? Maybe. And I'm already here giving you an update. Whereas with the previous book I read, it took me like 2 weeks, I feel like, to give you any sort of update. So this is definitely moving much quicker. It is a smaller book, but it's still like, I think the writing style and the plot is really like pushing us forward and making me want to pick it up. Which is a really good feeling after the last one. I'm really enjoying this. I'm excited to see where we continue to go. I love the world building that we are still getting in the series, because we know the world. We know the HMRC and how the political structure is. But now we're seeing how it's connected to like what they call mundanes, which are people who don't have magical powers, and how things are shifting there. And there's some political changes happening in this world as well as in the mundane world. And so I'm very interested to see where it's going to go, because there's a lot of interesting conversations in here. And there's still one more book. So, like, are we going to end on another huge cliffhanger and I'm going to have to pick up the next one? Who knows? I might have to. Like, it's doing what it's supposed to. It's giving me the feelings like I had in the first book, maybe on a less exaggerated scale, a little more muted, but still like really, really enjoying this book. So I just want to keep reading. I want to get to the end. I need to know what happens. I'm invested in these characters. I'm getting more invested in these characters, and I'm really liking it. Is, I guess, what I'm trying to say is that like this is good. It feels really good to want to pick up a book and want to be sucked into this world, or in any world again. So I know I waited quite a few years to pick this one up, but I think I picked this one up at the right time. Okay, so I'm here to give you a final update, because I finished The Shadow Cabinet last night by Gina Dawson, and it got 4.5 stars. It wasn't quite a 5-star, and I don't know what it was about it that could have made it a 5-star, because I really enjoyed it. I am obsessed with the series. I have the audiobook pre-ordered. I've had it pre-ordered for a while, and it drops in my library on the 5th, which is that's tomorrow. And how this ended, I feel like I need to pick it up. like I might have to order it and just pick it up like right away. Maybe pause to read my book club book, because that club is coming up soon. But like it ended very dramatically, just like the first one, except for the difference is the first one I knew exactly what happened, whereas the second one, there's a cliffhanger, and like you're about to find something out. And I may or may not have looked in the synopsis of the third book, so I know what happened. Like I know what the thing is that I don't know what I'm trying to say. I need the third one now. So I am obsessed with this world. I'm obsessed with these characters. We kind of follow in this one, I would say one of our main characters is very, very flawed. I mean, they're all very flawed, but there's like one specifically who's done like a lot of terrible things. And we see them get a redemption of sorts in this book. And I really liked seeing that because, like, I don't know what's about to happen. We had a lot of like, the world kind of blew up. The world that we understood and knew kind of blew up at the end of this book, and, like, things are about to go insane. Um, and I have a lot of questions, and I'm really excited to see what the third and final book in this series is gonna be, because the first one was so good, and the second one is still very, very good. I don't think I was as captivated reading this one as I was reading the first book, and I don't know why that is, which is, I think that might be why it didn't get a full 5 star. But, like, the funny thing that I was telling my husband, kind of like talking about this book, is that, like, these 2 books made me so angry, but, like, it's supposed to. Like, there are moments that you get so mad at, and the first book really tackles trans rights. So I was getting frustrated and really angry at one of our main characters because they were being very, very, very transphobic. And in this book, like, that's still a thing. I mean, like, transphobia is still a thing, but it's more most of the book is geared more towards misogyny, and there's a lot of misogynistic language in this book, so, like, trigger warnings for that, trigger warnings for sexual assault. It's historical, but, like, one of our characters is kind of thinking about it. There's mention of miscarriage, I think. Domestic abuse, I think, is also one, from a parent. So, side note, but those are some triggers for this book. What was I saying? Oh, it's very misogynistic. So, like, you get so angry at a lot of these characters because they're being, like, not the main characters, like, the thing that they're fighting. It's just like they say things, and you go, how can anyone believe what you're saying? And then I think about history and, like, how women were treated very badly and treated as very second class citizens. I mean, they still are, but, like, if you think of, like, history, where, like, women were treated as property and things like that, like, clearly people had those views, and so people still kind of have those views a little bit in this book. um it's geared more toward, like, magical people, but still just things are said, and I wanted to chuck this book across the room because the people were saying things that were just downright awful and terrible. But, like, that's the point. The point is to make you uncomfortable. So I don't know what the third book's going to be. I'm sure it's going to be more of the same conversation here. We started this book following someone who I despised based on the events of the first book. And by the fact that by the end of this book, I'm, like, I'm on their side. It's very confusing, which is, like, I think a good, like, that shows how good this writing is too. I think I mentioned it in the last update. It's not super flowery. It's not, like, the most profound language. Juna Dawson tells it how it is. She tells it in a very British way how it is, and the fact that you can hate someone at the beginning of the book and then be on their team, on their side by the end of the book, is very telling. And the fact that, like, I read this in, like, 3 or 4 days. Like, honestly, I did, because I was so obsessed with this book that once I really got into it, I was like, I need more answers. And, like, I flew through this like it was nothing. And it's like, I mean, it doesn't look very big, but this is about a 500-page book. I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm really happy that I ended this video with a pretty good book. So I did it. I finished the final 2 books that were on that list of 5-star predictions. Neither of them were 5 stars, which is fine. I made that video. It's at least 3 years old, if not more. It's been a while since I've made a 5-star prediction video, and I'm just not good at them. Like, I always think I'm gonna be like, this is the reason, and I'm gonna give this 5 stars because of insert, whatever it is here, and I'm never right. I think I've been successful once. I think there was one book on the previous list that got 5 stars, maybe. Either way, I went in not thinking these were going to be super, like, 5 stars. But I'm happy that I've done it. Like, this list has been hanging over my head for a long time, and this book specifically is on my 2025 TBR. So I was able to get some things done. I'm able to tackle a series. Like, these are both part of series that, like, I'm really enjoyed and just have been able to make progress in. And I'm probably going to finish this trilogy in the next month or 2. So I feel very good about this. Like, it was, even though it feels like it was a slog, and it feels like when you get down to the analytics, like this was a 5-star prediction video and I didn't have any 5-star predictions, I'm still happy with how this went. And I'm still really glad that I read these books. And I'm still happy that I'm going to continue with these series. Like even the Beautiful Nightmares one, even though it was a slog to get through, it ended up being okay. And like I still want to invest more time in the series. Like I have the 5th book, and I can pick that one up. The 6th one's coming out hopefully later this year, and that'll be the final book. And then like I could be done with these series. So I feel good. I feel good about this video and about the reads that I've done here. So I think that's really all I have to say about these. I'm happy with how this went. So let me know, of course, if you've read either of these books or either of these series that I mentioned in this video. I'd love to know your thoughts on them. Do you have 5-star predictions? Would you like to tell me about a 5-star prediction that you have on your TBR? I might make another video. I don't know. We might hold off on making a 5-star prediction video for a hot second. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But let me know if you have what's a 5-star prediction for you. But if you like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there, as well as other fun bookish links. So check all that out, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!